She doesn't walk away because love suddenly vanished. She walks away because of the words you repeat when you believe they carry no weight. I am speaking to you the way a psychologist speaks to men who sit across the room with the same confusion, the same justifications, and the same quiet pain. This isn't about blaming you. It's about exposing the invisible damage certain sentences create long before a woman ever packs a bag or emotionally disconnects. The first thing an emotionally unskilled man says is meant to sound logical, firm, even confident. But psychologically, it reveals immaturity and lack of awareness. The sentence is, "I'm just being honest." Men use this phrase to excuse carelessness. It usually follows criticism that wasn't asked for or blunt truths delivered without empathy. In female psychology, honesty without emotional attunement doesn't feel like truth. It feels like rejection. A woman's nervous system doesn't process your words intellectually first. It scans for safety or threat. When you hide behind honesty, her body hears, your feelings don't matter. Here's what most men were never taught. Emotional intelligence is not lying. It's choosing timing, tone, and intention. A grounded man understands that truth delivered without care is aggression wearing a disguise. Women don't withdraw from truth. They withdraw from men who confuse cruelty with authenticity. Every time you say that line, you condition her to believe closeness with you comes at a cost. Another sentence that quietly destroys attraction is, "You're overreacting." This attacks her internal reality. Psychologically, it invalidates her emotional experience and places you above her in the hierarchy of meaning. You're not calming the situation. You're minimizing her inner world. Over time, this causes emotional shutdown. She stops explaining. She stops trying. Silence replaces connection, and men mistake that silence for peace. Then there's the phrase men use to dodge responsibility. That just how I am. What this tells a woman is that growth is optional and empathy is negotiable. Women are biologically wired to assess adaptability in partners. When you present yourself as emotionally rigid, her attraction system begins preparing an exit even if she stays physically present. A foolish man also says, "If you don't like it, you can leave." He thinks this demonstrates strength. Psychologically, it signals emotional abandonment. It tells her you'd rather lose her than understand her. Even if she doesn't leave immediately, a part of her detaches to protect itself. These sentences seem minor. They aren't. They accumulate like emotional debt, and eventually the relationship collapses under a weight you never noticed forming. None of these phrases sound cruel on the surface, yet each one teaches her to feel alone while standing next to you. Psychology is pattern recognition. Repeated language becomes emotional prediction. She learns how you'll respond and adapts by withdrawing. Men think attraction disappears suddenly. It doesn't. It erodes quietly through language until one day, she has already gone and you're still arguing words that stopped working months ago. Awareness is the first step toward change. Another sentence that sounds harmless but slowly kills desire is, "I don't need anyone." Men say this to project independence and strength. But female psychology hears something else. A woman doesn't want to feel like an accessory to your life. She wants to feel chosen. When you repeatedly signal that you don't need onion, her nervous system translates it as, "I could disappear and it wouldn't matter." Attraction doesn't grow in emotional isolation. It grows where presence feels meaningful. Here's what most men misunderstand. Neediness and interdependence are not the same. A secure man can say, "I want you," without saying, "I'm incomplete without you." When you deny all emotional need, you deny intimacy itself. Women bond through emotional exchange. When there's no room for her to matter, she eventually stops offering herself. Another revealing phrase is, "I'm fine." Men say this while clearly not fine when they're hurt, jealous, overwhelmed, or afraid. To a woman, this isn't strength. It's emotional refusal. She senses something is wrong, but you block access. Over time, she stops trying to understand you, not because she doesn't care, but because she learns you won't let her in. Women don't want to interrogate a man for truth. They want to feel trusted with it. Then there's the line used to avoid accountability. You're just trying to start an argument. This reframes her attempt at connection as conflict. Psychologically, it teaches her that raising concerns leads to dismissal. Eventually, she stops bringing things up not because the issues are resolved, but because she's tired of being labeled the problem. Here's something most men never hear. When a woman stops complaining, it's not a victory. It's a warning. Complaints mean she still cares enough to engage. Silence means she's emotionally packing her bags. Another subtle but destructive sentence is, "Other guys wouldn't put up with this." This is control through comparison. Psychologically, it introduces fear instead of safety. Women don't bond to fear. They comply temporarily and detach permanently. When you imply she's replaceable, her subconscious begins replacing you. All of these phrases have one thing in common. They protect the man's ego, not the relationship. And women are exceptionally sensitive to ego-driven communication. They don't consciously analyze every word. Their nervous system does it for them. It tracks whether you are safe, flexible, and emotionally present. Men who speak this way believe they're maintaining power. In reality, they're slowly losing respect, influence, and attraction. Women don't fall out of love because men are flawed. They fall out of love because men become emotionally unreachable. Language is the bridge. Every careless sentence removes another plank until one day there is nothing left connecting you and she do as to even argue anymore. Now, we move into the sentences men use when they feel their authority slipping. These are the most dangerous because they don't just harm attraction, they alter how a woman sees you at your core. One of Timmy's, "I do everything for you." On the surface, this sounds like sacrifice. Psychologically, it sounds like a transaction. Love turns into a ledger. Women don't bond through scorekeeping. They bond through presence, choice, and emotional generosity. The moment effort becomes a weapon, gratitude turns into pressure, and pressure kills desire. Another sentence is, "You should already know." This reveals emotional laziness. It replaces communication with mind reading. In female psychology, this creates anxiety. Love begins to feel like hidden tests with unspoken rules. Eventually, she stops trying because the expectations are invisible, but the consequences are real. Then there's, "Why are you bringing up the past?" This dismisses emotional memory. Women process relationships through patterns, not isolated moments. When you shut this down, you communicate that her emotional continuity doesn't matter. A foolish man also says, "That's not what I meant," instead of taking responsibility for impact. Intention doesn't erase effect. When you prioritize your meaning over her experience, trust erodes. Another damaging phrase is, "You're too sensitive." This is emotional invalidation, disguised as logic. Sensitivity is not weakness, it's emotional intelligence. When you criticize it, she either numbs it around you or redirects it towards someone who values it. The truth is, men who speak this way aren't intellectually incapable. They're emotionally untrained. They were never taught that language shapes attachment. Every sentence teaches a woman what it feels like to be close to you. Women don't leave over one argument. They leave after repeated emotional injuries that are never acknowledged. Each phrase becomes evidence. Evidence that you don't listen. Evidence that you don't adapt. Evidence that being with you requires shrinking herself. And when a woman shrinks herself long enough, she disappears emotionally. The final sentence a foolish man says is, "I guess I am just not good enough for you." It sounds vulnerable, but psychologically it's manipulation. It shifts responsibility onto her and forces her into caretaking. Instead of growth, you collapse into self. A woman doesn't feel closer when she has to rescue your self-worth. She feels trapped. Women want a man who can sit with discomfort without When you use this line, you're not opening up, you're avoiding growth. Her attraction system registers instability, not depth. What connects all of these phrases is fear. Fear of being wrong. Fear of vulnerability. Fear of losing control. Men defend their ego with language, unaware they're teaching a woman that closeness with them is unsafe. Female psychology isn't mysterious. It's responsive. Women respond to how you make them feel over time. Your words either regulate her nervous system or activate it. Attraction isn't built through dominance or detachment. It's built through emotional leadership. A mature man doesn't try to win arguments. He protects connection under tension. He listens for meaning. He takes responsibility for impact. He stays present. You don't lose women because you're imperfect. You lose them because you refuse to examine your patterns. Growth isn't weakness. Accountability isn't submission. Emotional awareness isn't feminine. It's mature. Every relationship you've had has been a mirror. Your language reveals how you relate to yourself. And the moment a man changes his language, his relationships change, not because he's performing, but because he's evolving. Words aren't just communication. They're emotional environments. A woman doesn't fall in love with your intentions. She falls in love with how it feels to exist around you. So, ask yourself honestly, which sentence have you said the most and what did it cost you?